Good morning, afternoon, or evening, everyone. My name is Jeremy Walsh, and I'm the Director of Support, Training, and Documentation for BNIConnect. I'd like to welcome everybody to the webinar today. So today's webinar is the first webinar in a 5-part series that we put together, mainly for new members, people that have just joined BNI, or maybe people that are just logging into BNIConnect for the very first time. And what we've done is we've taken this humongous system called BNIConnect and we've broken it down into smaller parts so that we can teach you in kind of bite-sized pieces of what BNIConnect is all about. We try to do that in short 30-minute segments over the course of the next couple of weeks. And there are specifically 5 parts to this particular series for the member level functionality. So today, what we're going to talk about is how to complete your profile. So how to go in and fill out all those details and all the different places that it shows up and the different websites and things like that and why you want to do that. Tomorrow, at the same time, we're going to be going through really how to use the system to track your referrals. So we do have the ability to enter your referrals and your one-to-ones and things like that all into BNIConnect, and tomorrow we're going to show you how to do that. Then on Thursday, we're going to talk about connecting with other members, so how to use this system to find other BNI members around the world. We're going to take a couple of days off, and then excuse me, next week we're going to talk about the member tools and reports. So we're going to take kind of a deeper dive, look at some of the statistics and things like that that you can find here in BNIConnect. And then finally, next Wednesday, we're going to talk about the visitor process, how you can use BNIConnect to invite visitors to your chapter and how to make sure that they're registered for your meeting so that they remember to show up to the meeting. So that's our member series. Then we go into a series of leadership team webinars, if you'd like to join us for those as well. Just before we get started today, a couple of very quick housekeeping things about webinars and this webinar series in general. This, if you're listening to us today, if you're here with us on Tuesday, January 10th, this is a live webinar. What that means is that it can be interactive. As we're going through the material today, you are welcome to ask as many questions as you would like. All you need to do is to type the question into the questions panel. As part of the GoToWebinar software, you'll see a little panel that folds out. Just type your question in there, and I'll be happy to answer that as we're going along with the material today. If you're listening to this later on, you will know that this is being recorded as well. So we record all of our webinars so that if you'd like to share this with other people on your team that couldn't be here today, or you'd like to just go back and review the material, you'll be able to do that at a later time. We make them available on our support site by clicking the question mark in BNIConnect. Also on our YouTube channel. We have a YouTube channel, BNIConnect Global, and you can find that up on YouTube. All right, so without any further ado, let's get talking about BNIConnect. So first things first, before we jump into the system, I really wanted to kind of give you a very quick background on what BNIConnect is all about. And we do have a question already from Terrence. Terrence says, do I get credit for listening to this podcast webinar? Absolutely. You want to make sure that you submit a CEU slip as part of today's training. So make sure that you do submit that as part of the slips for activity this week. So absolutely, Terrence. Thank you for asking. All right, so about BNIConnect. Now, a lot of people really don't understand how all-encompassing BNIConnect is for our organization, because BNI is a global organization. So I'm not going to go through this whole presentation, this Power of Connect presentation. That's like an hour-long presentation. I really just wanted to give you the first couple of pieces of information here. Then we'll get into the profiles. This is kind of the why behind it's really important to fill out your profile, and that's because BNIConnect is huge. We are in 72 countries, and BNIConnect, the software, actually is kind of like the QuickBooks for BNI. If anybody uses QuickBooks for their business, we are really the accounting software for the entire organization in 72 countries around the world, over 1,000 individual regions of BNI, and then 7,500 plus chapters. If you think about it, that's a whole lot of data. We are collecting data on all of the chapters. So just think about it. Your chapter every week, all the referrals that you pass and the one-to-ones that you do, we keep those stats for your chapter and 7,500 other chapters around the world. not to mention remembering when everybody's due renewal dates are and when they joined and when they attended trainings and all of that. That's all stored in BNIConnect globally. On top of that, if anybody's ever used things like WordPress for their websites, we are kind of a custom WordPress for BNI. So we actually pump out about 7,000 websites around the world. And the nice thing is that they're all pulling information from BNIConnect. So anytime your roster changes, that's automatically updated on your chapter website. If you go in and update your profile picture, that is automatically updated on all of the websites where your profile picture shows up. And it's all done through this one platform. But the third part about it is that we also have kind of our own private LinkedIn, right? Where we can connect with other members around the world. So as we meet people at networking events or at regional trainings or even through things like today or the discussion groups in BNIConnect, we can contact them, we can connect with them, we can do business with other BNI members around the globe. Now, I'm a BNI member, by the way. I've been a member since 2002, so I've seen a lot of change in BNI, 15 years worth of change. When I first joined BNI, the only thing I knew was my chapter, my 20 people that were in my chapter. Since then, since becoming a director and being on the leadership team and going to trainings and events around the world, now I can tap into this bigger resource. But I didn't have that when I first started because we didn't have a BNIConnect. You guys get to get started on the right foot with being able to access over 210,000 members around the world. And it is private only to BNI members. So very quick rundown of the technology. It is one application. It is not a website. It is an application that happens to be accessed through the internet. So it is an online application which consists of 950 individual pages. We've got about 120 reports in the system. It is translated into 47 languages. Every time we make even a tiny change in BNIConnect, it has to be manually translated for all of these different languages, including about a dozen different versions of English, by the way. We've also got about a dozen different programming languages that are used within the system and over 1 million lines of code. And again, one of the things that makes this so exciting to me is that we can actually tap into this global network now, which is just awesome. So let me get out of this PowerPoint. Let's start looking at BNIConnect itself. So this is actually what you see when you first log into a BNIConnect. Let me just zoom. Oops, zoomed in too far there. Let me zoom in here. And let's take a look. So, by the way, your profile is, hold on a second. Boyd has a question. Will the slide deck be available to us for download? I don't have that one available for public download. If you'd like it, again, that's only one part of a much longer presentation called The Power of Connect that I do quite often. But if you'd like that slide deck, why don't you shoot me an email? Jeremy@bni.com or support@bniconnect.com, support@bniconnect.com, and I'd be happy to share it with you on a one-by-one basis, although I can't really put it out there on the public internet for download. Does that help, Boyd? So again, support@bniconnect.com, and I'm happy to share it with you or some of the other people that are on the call with us today. Okay? Awesome. Thanks, Boyd. All right, so your profile is available on up to 3 distinct websites. 3 distinct websites your profile is available, not to mention inside BNIConnect. So once you log into BNIConnect, so just to show you, like for me, again, I'm a member. If I click this regional website button up here in the upper right-hand corner of BNIConnect, that'll take me to I'm a member in Rhode Island, so this is the BNI-RI site. This is my regional website. And if I go through this and I go to, let's say, find a member, and I look myself up here, right? I'm going to look myself up by name. That's the easiest way to find me. Click search, and here's my profile. And you can see I have, my business. I've got all my different social media links and all of my phone numbers, ways to contact me. So this is one website where it's available. If I go to my chapter website, so if I'm in the Wakefield chapter, I go to my Wakefield chapter description and go to visit my chapter website. Here on the Wakefield chapter, every member has a profile. Now this is a distinct URL. So this URL is different from the other URL, which means it's a separate website. So it's the same profile up here on BNIConnect. Now, we also have a country website. So if I go to BNIAmerica.com, on BNI America, we also have the ability to search for any member in the United States. And I could search for myself here as well. And here we go. Here's the same profile that's available in those other places. So my profile, 3 distinct websites here that have my profile, and I only need to update it once in BNIConnect. Now inside BNIConnect, let me go back into the inside of BNIConnect. We also have a profile here within BNIConnect. So I'm going to click this search button up here in the upper right-hand corner. This is how you can search for any member around the world, and I'm going to search for myself again, Jeremy Walsh. So there's actually 2 Jeremy Walshes here. So this is my active profile, Jeremy Walsh, and it has all my chapter information in it, all the different roles I have, that video that I have shared. I'm sharing my bio and my profile and my tops profile. It also shows who I'm connected to, any testimonials, a little photo sharing library. So all of this is part of my profile. Now this is what it looks like if you have filled out your profile, right? So if you filled out your profile, that's what it looks like. Why don't we look at one? This is my test user up in Antarctica that I have, but this is what your profile looks like if you haven't filled anything out. So if you haven't filled your profile out, then really, if somebody was to find you in BNIConnect, they couldn't get in touch with you even if they wanted to. So it's very, very important that we're a networking site. So we want to make sure that we're sharing this information with other people that want to get connected with us. So Jeffrey and Tricia have a couple of questions real quick. Jeff says, is any of this in writing? Yes, absolutely. I'll show you where to find that. And then Tricia says, how do I add the video? So I'll show you how to do that as well. So great questions from both of you. So in order to update your profile, let me go back to the home screen where you would normally go to when you first log in. And there's 2 different ways you can get there. Right here it says update profile. So click that. Alternatively, just click on options, my account. Either one of those links will take you to the exact same place. So this is your profile. Now you'll notice that the profile is broken into some different tabs here along the top. Right? So we have our different tabs here along the top. So all really that you need to do is to go through these tabs and fill out the information. It's as simple as that. Go through, fill in the blanks, and you will have a complete profile. So what I'd like to do though is give you some kind of tips and tricks on some of the different things within the profile. So you'll notice the tabs here at the top. We have our main profile, which is some basic information. We have our user profile, which is really our login credentials and our picture. We have all of our contact information here. We have our account settings, which is really kind of preferences. We have our bio, which has all of our kind of personal information. If you happen to be a director consultant, which not many of you are, but if you ever become a director consultant, there is a page here that you can keep separate information, and then also your training history. So let's take a look at what's on each of these pages and what you need to fill out and what even can be filled out. So first page, again, most of this is basic information. A lot of this you can't change. For example, your company name. and your actual name. Now, the reason you can't change that is because, we do have to make sure that what is listed here matches what's on your application, because essentially the application is a legal document. So before you change your company or before you change your name, we do have to make sure that the paperwork has caught up with that. The same thing with your industry and classification. If any of that information is incorrect, don't panic. Just contact your regional office. Your regional office can help you out with all of that and update it if necessary, and they can get you through that process. Willis asks, where does the profile come from? Does it come by BNI or do we send a request? So this profile is automatically created as soon as your application is submitted to BNI. So once your application is submitted, your secretary treasurer or your regional office types your application into BNIConnect, and this default profile is created. At that time, you should also get basically an email saying, hey, why don't you log into BNIConnect and create a username and password? If you haven't received that email, if you haven't logged into BNIConnect yet, what you need to do is let me show you this. I'm just going to open up another window here. Right here, when you go to log into BNIConnect.com, there's a link here. It says new to BNIConnect, register now. Just walk through this process in order to make sure that you can then create a username and password. Then you can log into BNIConnect and basically do what I'm doing now in filling out the profile. So does that help, Willis? Does that answer your question? All right, so that's this first part of it. Now, there's a couple of things that may not make any sense, especially here in the United States. We have the registered tax office and VAT reference number. Those are not needed here in the United States. There are other countries. Remember, we are an international organization in over 70 countries, and some of those require putting that information in your profile. You can also see when you're due for renewal. Now, again, most of this you're not going to be able to fill out, but what you can do is there's two important parts on this page, My Business and Keywords. My Business and Keywords. So the My Business is the way I think about the, Kenneth makes a point that his doesn't say edit, it says request change. So as I said, in most cases, it's because I'm a system administrator that I have the edit button. That's what an administrator would see. You would see request change because if you need to change your name or your company name, you have to request that change from your office. So does that make sense, Kenneth? Does that answer your question? Right. So the My Business and Keywords, those are probably the two most important things that you can fill out besides your picture. The My Business is how you would explain your business briefly to somebody that doesn't know what you do. So think about your open networking at your chapter meeting. That very first 15 minutes of your meeting where you might meet somebody, maybe there's a visitor there, and you need to very quickly tell them about your business. Now, people don't like to read a lot of stuff on the internet. So you do want to keep this nice and short and sweet, maybe 3 or 4 sentences, or even better, as Tricia says, put a video on your profile. Putting a video is really, really easy. You do have to host that video somewhere else, like on YouTube or Vimeo or something, but almost all of them will give you a special code called an embed code. You don't have to know anything about it. All you have to know is copy it and paste it into the My Business description. That's all there is to it. So, for example, if I go to my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/BNIConnect Global, any video I want, there is a share button, right? So I click share here. And we don't want this. What we want is that embed code. It's going to be that big, long code that, you don't need to know what it is. You just need to know that we're going to right-click it and choose copy and then paste it into My Business. You do have to have at least some text in there so that it doesn't think you're trying to put a script into the system, but that's all there is to it as far as putting a video in there. Does that help, Tricia? Cool. Now, the next thing is the keywords here. The keywords are also really important because this is how people find you when they don't know your name. If you think about it, most of the time when we're doing a search in BNIConnect, we're searching for somebody that's going to provide us a service or somebody that we can refer business to. For example, my grandmother lives in New Jersey and I live in Rhode Island. If my grandmother, I'm on the phone with my grandmother and she says to me, hey, yeah, I've been having problems with the heat, the air conditioning hasn't been working right, whatever it is, maybe I can refer her to an HVAC person, a heating, ventilation, air conditioning person. Well, why not turn to BNI for that? I can search in BNI and know that there's a trusted, verified individual in New Jersey that I can refer that business to. Because in BNI, we have higher standards of membership than just putting up a website on Google. So the keywords is what are going to help other people find you when they're searching for services. You are limited to 200 characters, so you do have to be a little bit careful about what you're putting in there. You can't write a whole, Encyclopedia Britannica on it. But, you want to make sure you put keywords in. The thing to keep in mind as well is that, we don't have quite the budget that Google has to do super, super crazy artificial intelligence algorithms to guess what you're looking for. It's more of a database search. So, for example, if you're in accounting and that's what your category says up here is the industry is accounting, you may want to put accountant in there as well or vice versa. That way you can, capture both words if they're searched. And you'll notice that I also put a couple of different state abbreviations in here, Massachusetts and Connecticut, and that's because if anybody's familiar with Rhode Island, we are the smallest state in the United States, which means that a lot of us spill over the borders in our businesses. So it might be a good idea to put locations in there as well. Of course, we're going to search, where you're located, your business address, and we're going to search this industry and classification. This is just going to assist with those searches. If you make any changes, be sure to click that update button. You'll see it says saved real quick at the bottom, and then you'll know it's saved. So your renewal date is right here. How do you check your renewal date? Just have a look at your renewal date. It's right here on this first tab here. For me, it's March 1st, 2018. All right, it's also on the home screen, by the way. If you go back to your home screen, your renewal date is right there. All right, so this next tab over, this is your profile, basically your login profile. Now, you can create your own username. You may have been set up with a default of, let's say, an email address or your first initial last name or something. You can make it whatever you want as long as nobody else is using it, and it can even include special numbers and symbols and things like that. The memorable, you can also change your password, by the way. The memorable question, that's the challenge question you'll be asked if you ever forget your password. For example, if I go back to this login page here, there's this forgot password. If you've logged in before and you forget your password, you just need to type in your email address that's registered in BNIConnect, and then that CAPTCHA, and click Find Me. It will then ask you your memorable question for which you have to provide the correct answer. And you set your own question and answer right here, memorable question and answer. Finally, you can choose an appropriate language for yourself, what time zone you're in, and possibly the next most important piece of this is to make sure that you have your profile image and logo set up. So if I click on, let's say I want to change my logo, I just click on Change Company Logo. I can then browse using this magnifying glass, and I can go browse for a new logo. So let me go pick one of my other logos here. I'm going to choose the, say the dark logo this time. I can crop it if I'd like to, and then click Save. One thing to note is that it does not support transparent backgrounds. If you happen to have a logo with a transparent background, my recommendation is just open it up in something like Microsoft Paint and resave it as a PNG file, as a portable network graphic file, and that will actually get rid of the transparency and make it a white background. All right, the next tab is really just all of your contact information, all the phone numbers, and you can have as many, well, really not as many, but you can have up to 14 social media links listed there. You can change your email address at any time. For example, I just prefer that this goes to my support email address as opposed to my personal email address, or if you'd like it to go to a Gmail address or whatever else you'd like, you can certainly choose that. Now, down at the bottom, you can also choose addresses. You can make sure that your billing address is legitimate. You want to make sure that if your regional office needs to send you something, that they have your actual address to send it to. Now, if you happen to have a home-based business, you may want to just, instead of putting in your actual address, you may want to put in something like by appointment only. That way, that'll protect your privacy of your home address there. All right, the next tab over, again, this is really your member preferences. So you can choose when somebody finds you using the magnifying glass, you can choose which pieces of your information you'd like to share with them. I personally like to share everything with everybody. Again, this is the inside of BNIConnect. You can also choose your notification preferences, which of the BNIConnect notifications you will get. It's pretty important too, as people send you connection requests, you probably want to get those notifications in your regular email as opposed to just when you log into BNIConnect. So do make sure that you set your connection requests to yes. And you probably want your BNIConnect messages, the internal messaging system, which is this up here in the upper right, you probably want that to go to your regular address as well. So just make sure you choose yes on those if you'd like to. And of course, if you make any changes, click Update. All right, so now let's go over to the next tab. The next tab over is your bio. Now this tab may take you a little bit of time to fill out. I mean, there's just a lot of writing here. But the nice thing is you can kind of set it and forget it. So you have your bio. Now this bio is the same bio that when you go to do your first feature presentation, your 10-minute presentation at your chapter meeting, this is the same bio that your secretary-treasurer is going to ask you for. So rather than fill it out on paper, just fill it out in BNIConnect, so you only have to do it once. Weekly presentations, you can also embed videos into the weekly presentations. And the reason that you might want to put a couple of weekly presentations up there, even if you just take a selfie of yourself giving a 60-second presentation at your weekly chapter meeting, the reason for that is that, again, we have 210,000 members in BNI around the world. Now, I can pretty much guarantee you that probably 209,900 of them will never be at one of your chapter meetings. Why not give them the opportunity to listen to what you have to say or read what you have to say about your business? Gains profile, of course, goals, accomplishments, interests, networks, and skills. Great idea to fill that out. And if you've taken your member success program already, or if you're going to your member success program, pay attention when they teach you about the gains profile and the gains exchange. What we should be doing before every one-to-one meeting is reading the other person's gains profile. It will take the one-to-ones to a whole new level because you'll know that much more about the person. And finally, the TOPS profile. What's your ideal referral, top product, top problem, favorite BNI story, things like that. And again, this is the one where it's gonna probably take you 10 minutes, 20 minutes to really, fill all this out. Very important. BNIConnect has a 30-minute timeout. So if you start filling this stuff out, just like if you were working on a Word document, click Update every once in a while, because if you go and take a phone call and walk away for a half hour, or your wife or your husband calls you for dinner and you go and you walk away from this, you will lose everything because BNIConnect will log you out after 30 minutes. So please make sure that you click the update button. Willis says, I missed where the gains is. It's on this tab, the bio tab. It's just all the way down at the bottom. All right, so it's on that bio tab, the one that looks like a piece of paper. All right. And again, if you're a director, you can keep separate phone numbers and things like that. And then finally, the training history. The training history you can't update yourself. That will get automatically updated as you attend regional events such as member success programs and advanced trainings. When they take attendance at those, that will be automatically added to your profile. Okay? All right. So that is, in a nutshell, is how to fill out your profile. Just a couple of quick reminders. What I'd like to do is to open this up for questions. Again, we are at the bottom of the hour, so I like to be very respectful of people's time. I told you it was going to be a half hour. I'd like to keep the content to a half hour. That said, if you have time to hang out, I will stay on this webinar until every single question is answered. So if you do have to leave, thank you so much for taking the time to be with me today, and I'd love to see you on a future webinar. A good referral for me. Please sign up for tomorrow's webinar or any of the other webinars that might interest you, and better yet, share these webinars with the other members of your group. Anybody that might have joined recently or new members as they come in, please share these webinars with them. You'll be able to find these webinars, by the way, if you click on the, see this question mark in the upper right-hand corner? And Jeffrey, this brings me all the way back to your question from the beginning. Is any of this in writing? Click this question mark in the upper right-hand corner. That will take you to the support site. Okay, this is our support site, and we have tons and tons of documentation here. So, for example, getting started, how to register for BNIConnect and documents, and you can even do a search and, complete profile. Right, so there's completing your member profile. We do have this, again, a brief video of it, and then a step-by-step on how to go through and fill this out. So yes, this is all in writing as well, so you can find it all here on the support site. All right, so does that answer your question from way back in the beginning there, Jeffrey? Terrence just has a comment. He says, wow, thank you. This is great information. If we watch these recorded presentations, do we get credit as well? Yes, absolutely. Please give yourself, as soon as you've watched one of these recordings or you've attended one, go to Submit CEU Slip and make sure you give yourself 1 credit for a BNI webinar. So give yourself 1 CEU credit for today's webinar. And that way you'll get credit for it in your POMS report. All right, does that help, Terrence? So again, Terrence, they need to give themselves credit by submitting a CEU, so it doesn't happen automatically. Let's see. Boyd says, I've been to several trainings and they've never updated anything. It still says I've not attended anything. So Boyd, it depends on what it is. So these types of webinars, because it's a national thing, you're registering through GoToMeeting, and it's not really registering through BNIConnect, so I don't have a way to necessarily add the BNIConnect trainings. If you're talking about like member success program and one-to-one training and things like that in your region, those ones, if they haven't marked you as having attended, then whoever held that class, make sure you talk to them. If you don't know who held the class, here's what I suggest. If you see this regional website button in the upper right-hand corner, click that, go to contact, and contact your executive director or regional administrator. They'll be able to manually get those onto your profile, or go back and mark the attendance for those. All right, does that help? Awesome. Tom just says, did an excellent job. Thank you very much. Thank you, Tom. And, thank you guys all, everybody who's still here. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your business to learn more about BNIConnect and how it can help you. So thank you. Tricia says, thanks. I'm already signed up. Awesome, Tricia. Only other thing I could ask is to please let your other members know that you found this valuable and encourage them to join the webinar as well. Vicky says, thank you. I'll be back tomorrow as well. Awesome. Carl says, I'm a brand new member, and this has been very informative. Thank you. Let's see. So my contact information, support@BNIConnect.com is the best way to get in touch with me, or just find me here in BNI Connect, Jeremy Walsh. Shelley says, webinars not in the CEU list. So here's the deal. Just give yourself one credit. So that the spirits of the CEUs is that we couldn't possibly list everything that is in here. It just is impossible. So it's really meant to be approximately the number of hours you spent investing in the activity. This is, we're not going to go less than a credit. So I would just give yourself one credit, whether it's the BNI CD or the podcasts. For example, 5 podcasts, they're about 10 to 12 minutes, so it's about an hour. So I would give yourself one credit, even if it's not specifically listed there. Does that help, Shelley? Danny just says, this has been very helpful. Will says, good job. Let's see. So, yeah, Boyd was just commenting on my numbers. Yes, I am a member. This is 15 years worth of statistics. So, a lot of people, this is kind of off topic, but you're going to hit highs and lows in BNI over the year. It really takes 1 to 2 years for this system to really kick in. So please don't get frustrated. Stick with it. It does take time to build the trust and build the relationships. But once you start building those relationships, you will have relationships for life. I said time and time again, I will be in BNI until I no longer have a business. I bleed burgundy and believe in this system. So stick with it. And it really is, BNI accounts for, about 50% of my company's business at this point in time. But it's taken a long time to get there. Mac just says, where did you go to contact that regional manager again? Up in the upper right-hand corner, it says regional website. So you can go there, click regional website, and then click the contact button. That'll tell you all of your regional people within your area. All right. You can also, there's also a report. If you go to the reports, there is a report called the roster report, the second one down. And on this roster report, we'll list all of your local leadership. So your president, your vice president, all of that, as well as your director consultant and area director and ambassador. So that's another way that you can find that information. All right. We'll go over some of those things more in the Tools and Reports webinar next week. Ed just says, thanks, very useful. Douglas says, do we need to put other tracking into the POMS page, one-to-ones? So I'm going to go over that all tomorrow, Douglas. So if you're going to be with us tomorrow, I'm going to go very much into detail about all the stuff you enter into BNI Connect and why you want to do it. But yes, absolutely. When you have a one-to-one, you want to click on and submit the one-to-one slips and the details, and same thing with referrals. You want to enter the details of those referrals. But again, I'm going to go over that in depth tomorrow as well. The short answer is yes. Clara says, if we update online, do we still need to turn in a chapter education form? So when you submit a CEU slip here, that is the same as turning in a piece of paper at your chapter meeting. As far as the education slip goes. If they're tracking other things about it, different regions may have different processes, or maybe they're doing some advanced training. I don't know particularly. In my area, in my chapter, just submitting the electronic slip would be enough. All right, Tom has a question. Tom says, can you go back to the weekly presentation just so an example of how to use that? So basically, the short answer is just make sure that you update. You either type in or you embed a video of your weekly presentation here on the bio tab, okay? So here you enter those weekly presentations. Now here's the why behind doing it. When somebody is searching in BNIConnect, right, for services. So for example, let's say that I'm searching for a plumber in Pittsburgh, right? So let's say I'm looking for a plumber in Pittsburgh. This is going to return, well, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 results for plumbers in Pittsburgh. So my aunt Patricia is looking for a plumber and she lives in Pittsburgh. So I said, you know what, I'm in BNI. I can reach out and find somebody in Pittsburgh that, just because they're in BNI, I know they have a membership committee. I know they want to receive referrals. I know they're looking for business. Why don't I try to hook you up with one of these people? So I go to BNIConnect, I search for a plumber in Pittsburgh, and I come up with these people. So let's just go through and take a look at them. So we have Chad here. Now when I come across Chad, Chad doesn't have a picture up. He's not sharing any of his contact information. And, he doesn't have any weekly presentations. So what typically happens is we close this one and we go and look at the next person on the list. So unfortunately, Christina's in the same boat. Jason does have a logo up, but still not sharing any contact information. Nope, Jerry's not sharing any contact information. Fine. Well, Richard has a logo and has his website. So if you want to be a step ahead of everybody, fill out this information because this is all credibility building information. So you want people to, I want to be able to go here and just say, yeah, you know what, Aunt Patricia, why don't you call Richard? Here's his phone number. But unfortunately, Richard's phone number is not here. And when I look at his bio, if he has his weekly presentations, I could then see, well, what type of referrals are they looking for? Things like that. So that's the practical purpose of this. Now, Dr. Meisner, he's been on some of these webinars with me, and what he has said to people is, just by putting your profile information up, I can't guarantee that you'll get any more business. I mean, there's a lot of people in BNI. However, if you don't fill out your profile, you won't get any more business. Because what's going to happen is just what I did here. As I go and click on people, if they don't have their profile filled out, I'm just going to move on to the next one. So does that answer your question, Tom, how to use that in a practical sense? And Willis, I think that answers your question as well. Boyd says, what does the MSP ribbon represent? So after you've taken a member success program, and it has been marked on your profile, you will get a member success program ribbon on your profile, which when other people view your profile, they'll see that ribbon as well, which is a sign that you have taken the member success program. Yeah, and if they haven't been updated yet, just get in touch with your regional office or executive director and they can help you out with that. Shelley says, what's in it for me? Please tell them the value of tracking by entering activity in BNIConnect. It makes their activity for the life of their membership. Absolutely. So, and I'm going to go into that in depth tomorrow, Shelley. So if you're going to be with us tomorrow, if everybody else is going to be with us tomorrow, I'm going to show you how you can then go back and review every single slip that you've ever passed over the past, well, for me, since this was introduced in 2012. So it's a great way to be able to analyze your membership on a completely different level. So absolutely, Shelley, thank you. Jeffrey says, is entering slips online for one-to-ones or referrals the same as handing in the slips at the meeting? So yes, this is essentially an electronic version of the paper slips at the meeting. Boyd says, I'll get with Dan Rawls to remedy. So yes, absolutely. Let Dan know, or I believe depending on which region you're in, so that means you're either in Utah or Eastern Tennessee is my guess, Boyd. If it's Utah, you may also want to get in touch with either Kip or with Cameron. Tennessee, I believe your regional admin might be Sarah Rice, who can also help you get that filled out or check who your director consultant is. All right, or really it's whoever conducted your member success program is the one most likely to make sure that they mark the attendance for it. All right, do we have any other questions? Any other questions whatsoever? As I said, I am always happy to stay on these calls. This is what I do all day, every day, as I answer questions about BNIConnect. So I'm always happy to do that live with real live people as opposed to email. But I realize that you guys do have other lives and you do have other jobs, so I want to be respectful of that as well. Just a reminder, I am recording this. I will get it up on the support site as soon as I can, and you can access that just by clicking this question mark here in the upper right-hand corner. Go to live and recorded webinars, and pretty soon you'll see the January series here, but in the meantime, you can always check out last month's recordings. And then, of course, the upcoming webinars, again, one of the best referrals you can give me is to let your chapter's director, consultant, executive director know that you attended this webinar and that you found value in it. And then if you want to pass along the information, that would be great. Of course, the beginning part of it, those first couple of things, you can also check out the full Power of Connect. I have that in recorded session as well. All right, I don't think I'm seeing any more questions pop up, so what I'm going to do is just say thank you guys so much for your time today. I really enjoyed having you guys here, and I look forward to seeing you on a future webinar. Hold on, one more quick question from Shelly. Shelly says, have you done a webinar for creating the Power of One reports? So Shelly, I'm going to assume that you're a director consultant. And if you are, what you may want to do is check out the director webinars. So here under the recorded webinars, you'll have access to a thing called BNIConnect Director Only webinars. And I know we've discussed it on some of the Friday US support calls. I don't think I have a webinar recorded specifically just on that topic. However, that said, if you need help with it, let me know and I can get you through the process. It's really probably best to make sure that we're working with your executive director as well. But if you wanted to set up a one-to-one or a meeting to discuss that, I'm happy to talk with you and your executive director. Okay, does that help, Shelley? Cool. All right. So going once, going twice. All right. Well, again, thank you guys so much for spending some time with me, and I look forward to seeing some of you tomorrow on our next webinar, which is the whole process of giving and tracking referrals through BNIConnect. Thanks again, and happy connecting.